Hi, my name is Courtney Murphy, and I'm with Prevent Blindness Wisconsin. And today we're going to be talking about myopia and the eyes. Prevent Blindness Wisconsin is a nonprofit organization located in downtown Milwaukee, but we service the entire state of Wisconsin with preventative vision health services. This includes vision screenings for both children and adults, helping families and adults navigate to further vision care, and vision health education. So when we talk about myopia, myopia is a refractive error of the eye. So first I'm going to pause before we get into the details of myopia and go over how we see things clearly around us and how the eyes work. Myopia is a refractive error. And when we talk about refractive errors, that means there is a defect in how light is coming into our eye and striking the back of our eye called the retina. When it comes to how we see the world in front of us, the eye is a very complex structure, and we have a lot of structures working together for you to see things clearly. Light passes through the cornea of the eye, this very outside dome-like structure. It passes through the pupil, that black circle in the middle of our iris. It then goes through our lens of our eye, which is located just behind the iris. Light travels through the vitreous body of the eye and strikes our retina here. The retina is about as thin as wallpaper, but it picks up all of those light signals, sends them to the optic nerve, which then takes those light signals to our brain to tell us what we're seeing. The two structures that I want to focus on here, though, are the cornea, the very outside of the eye, and the lens of the eye. 70% of our focusing capabilities come from the cornea itself, and 30% come from the lens. So right off the bat, as light enters our eye, that really is going to affect how that light strikes our retina. So for us to see things clearly, we want light to come in through the cornea, in through the lens, and strike that retina at a nice sharp point. Typically, the sharper the point, the clearer the image is. With a refractive error like myopia, there's some type of defect in how light is coming in through the eye, striking the retina, and that's why objects might appear blurry at a distance, up close, or all together. Next, we're going to get into how do people see the world if they have myopia. In the image on the screen here, you can see the upper image shows clear vision without myopia. With myopic vision, though, that is when objects up close are clear, but anything in the distance appears blurry. In this image here, you can see the apple in the book with myopic vision is nice and clear, but the chalkboard in the background is blurry and hard to see. Myopia occurs when light lands short of our retina, and there's typically two different causes for that. It could be due to a steeply curved cornea, or the eye itself is too elongated. In the image here, you can see the difference between a normal eye and a myopic eye. If the cornea is too steeply curved, that causes light to land short of the retina. It is the same thing, though, if our eye becomes elongated over time. The light is going to struggle to hit that retina at that nice, sharp point. If the cause of myopia is due to an elongated eye, the body can adapt, and the eye can become more elongated over time, worsening myopia symptoms. With light landing short of our retina, that causes objects up close to be seen with clarity, but objects in the distance to appear blurry to someone. With myopia in children, we typically see this onset between the ages of 8 to 12. It is more rare in infants and toddlers. However, we live in a digital world now, and we are seeing myopia become more and more common in younger children. When it comes to the prevalence of myopia, especially in the United States, we are seeing rates increase among children. In fact, 36% of youth in the United States have myopia. We are seeing it more in urban settings compared to rural settings, but the rate is steadily increasing. So what are the symptoms of myopia? Common symptoms include squinting to see distant objects clearly, frequent headaches, eye strain and eye fatigue, complaints about blurry vision, maybe not being able to see the board at school or street signs as clearly, holding books and tablets close to the face, and sitting close to the TV or having to move to the front of the classroom. Another area we should be aware of is the ABCs of children's vision health, because a lot of myopia symptoms play into the ABCs. What do the ABCs stand for? ABCs stand for appearance, behavior, and complaints of a child's vision. A stands for appearance. Are the child's eyes continuously watering? Are they red-rimmed, encrusted, or do they have swollen eyelids? Any cloudiness or haziness to the eye? Unequal pupil size? Signs of styes or infections along the eyelids? Presence of a white pupil or a possible eye injury. B stands for behaviors. Is their body rigid when looking at distant objects? Are they clumsy, or do they have decreased coordination? Are they thrusting their head forward or backward while looking at distant objects? Are they tilting their head to one side? Are they squinting or frowning when trying to focus, or excessively blinking? And lastly, C stands for complaints. Do they complain of frequent headaches, nausea or dizziness, blurry or double vision, burning, scratchy, or itchy eyes, unusual sensitivity to light, or that they're just not able to see as clearly? If you notice any of these ABCs, it's important to schedule an eye exam for your child and to let your primary care or pediatrician know. Next, we're going to touch on dilated eye exams for children. When should children receive dilated eye exams? If a child receives a vision screening referral from their school or child care center, they should receive a dilated eye exam. Also, if we notice any ABCs of vision health for children at home or at school, a dilated eye exam should also be scheduled for that child. Dilation is extremely important because it allows the eye doctor to see all of the structures in the eye and to have a clear view into that child's eye. Why is dilation so important when it comes to children's eye exams? From this image here, we can see an undilated pupil gives us a very narrow snapshot of what's going on in the eye. When we dilate the pupil, we're able to see all of the structures in the eye clearly and see if there are any problem areas going on. Next, we're going to get into the risk factors for myopia. Genetics plays a huge role when it comes to myopia in children. If a parent or both parents have myopia, we consider that child more at risk for developing the condition. Environmental factors also play a huge role. Excessive use of screens, not using our distance eye muscles enough, and not getting outside in sunlight is a huge factor with onset of myopia. Also, age. Children are more likely to have myopia than adults. We're going to take a deeper dive into those environmental risk factors when it comes to myopia. They say by the year 2050, half of the world population will be myopic. The driving factor behind this projected increase is our constant exposure to screens. Phones, laptops, tablets, especially with children at school and outside of school, we're seeing a huge shift in myopia cases. Our eyes are constantly using our near eye muscles instead of our distance eye muscles, and we become dependent. For children, it's extremely important that they spend time outdoors. Being outdoors allows us to use those distant eye muscles more regularly, giving those near eye muscles a break. But also, being outside exposes us to sunlight more, and sunlight is crucial when it comes to the development of children's eyes. When kids are not outside as much, we see that eye become more elongated more quickly. Being outdoors suppresses that and allows the eye to grow like it should. Next, we're going to talk about screen time and how it affects children's eyes. Children between the ages of 8 to 12 spend an average of 5 to 6 hours on a screen. That does not include schoolwork. This includes playing video games, watching TV, or using a phone. When it comes to teenagers, they spend more time on digital devices. We see an average of 9 hours a day, not including schoolwork. So over time, this constant exposure to screens and not using our distance eye muscles enough builds up, causing myopia symptoms to worsen. Myopia does have several long-term effects on our eyes. Those with myopia are 17% more likely to have early onset of cataracts. It also increases our risk for glaucoma by 50%. Those with myopia are also 6 times more likely to suffer from retinal detachment or retinal tears, and it increases our risk for macular degeneration. So how does myopia contribute to these conditions? A lot of these conditions come into play if the cause of myopia is the eye becoming elongated over time. With glaucoma, glaucoma is associated with pressure levels in our eyes. If our eye becomes elongated over time, that puts stress on our drainage canals in our eye, increasing pressure. With retinal tears or retinal detachment, as the eye becomes elongated, that puts pressure and stress on the retina, causing it to detach from the eye wall or causing a tear. And for macular degeneration, an elongated eye can thin out the macula and the retina, which can cause vision loss over time. Next, we're going to get into treatments for myopia. The most common treatments that we see are prescription glasses or contact lenses. It's extremely important for children, if they are diagnosed with myopia, to wear those prescriptions regularly. One, it helps them see the world in front of them clearly, but also it can slow down the progression of myopia and supports their long-term eye health. With all this information, you may be wondering, can I prevent myopia? And there are steps that we can take to prevent the onset of this refractive error. One, we want to limit screen use, and we really promote the 20-20-20 rule. So after 20 minutes of looking at your phone, laptop, even reading a book, we want to look up and look at an object that's at least 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That helps your eyes reset themselves, but it also allows you to use your distance eye muscles, giving those near eye muscles a break. Another habit we should get into regularly is spending time outdoors. As we learned, sunlight is extremely important for the growth and development for children's eyes, but just being outdoors allows us to use those distant eye muscles. They say children should spend 2 or more hours outside a day. It is important to limit screen time for children. However, when they are using them, it's important that those devices are at least 2 feet away from their eyes. What your school and school community can do to prevent myopia in the classroom include encouraging more outdoor time. Natural light helps slow down the progression of myopia. Encouraging the 20-20-20 rule, reminding students that every 20 minutes looking at an object that's 20 feet away for 20 seconds really helps the eyes reset themselves and gives them a break. Limiting continuous screen use, giving those students regular screen breaks. Promoting good reading habits, including good posture. If they're reading a book, keeping that book 12 to 14 inches from their face, and keeping screens at least 2 feet away from their face. And being aware of early warning signs and the ABCs of children's vision health. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you learned a little more about myopia and the eyes. Prevent Blindness Wisconsin is here to help. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Together, we can provide a lifetime of healthy vision.